Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays City Builders, where we are taking part in the 5 Builders 1 City collaboration, the multiplayer collaboration. It's back to my turn, and I'm really excited to be back here. We're looking at the town of Erglewood, and you might be wondering why. Well, it's because we are in the round 2 switcheroo phase of this collaboration, and this is now my area to play with, and I'm excited about that. So thank you, Timeister. You've done a great job. This is a really neat little town, and I'm excited to build with you. But I'm going to take this in a direction that might be a little different than you're thinking. So one of the interesting things about this collaboration is that we get the save file before we get to see all of the videos that everyone's releasing. So I open up the save file and I see this. I go, holy cow! Like that's pretty neat. This is a big expansion. So it forces me to go and take a look at things. And so I'm looking at all of our emergency services, and I see that, we have coverage for different things. We might need better coverage in some areas. Not this area, though. This is a great little city over here. I don't know who built this. Actually, yeah, we do need more coverage. So we need healthcare coverage. We're going to need fire coverage in some of these areas. And I notice that we have a crime problem, a significant crime problem. And I started thinking about what would be needed in this area. And I think it's a prison. So we're going to build a number of police departments and a number of police stations and a police headquarters, because we are in a tough spot as far as crime goes. We're also going to build a prison on an island, and that's going to be what serves as the employment center for the town of Manitou Shores, which I'm going to build right here. Now, no one's named this body of water, and I think that I have an opportunity to do that. So that's what we're going to focus on today. But I did notice one thing. So I've said on multiple occasions that water pipes belong underneath roads. And, I see some of that here. I see some things that concern me. And I think I'm going to have to fix those, because like this, I got a water pipe underneath the house. And using eminent domain to fix some of these things would be a real challenge. I'm buying homes. So let's say the water pipe breaks right here. This house is falling into a sinkhole. It's a real bad time for the Hickory residents. They're not happy because their house is destroyed. But this is relatively minor compared to another issue that I saw. Now, I don't mean to call you out, Imperial Jedi, but I love your city. It's beautiful, but everyone in your city is going to lose their home. So I gave some thought about what to do here. A couple things I could do. So I could try to just fix all of these, but in reality, I know that would be next to impossible. So what does one do to fix this? Well, I think that the solution is fairly apparent, not just to me, but to you as well. There's only one way to fix this. All right, there we go. Oh, sinkhole and the meteor at the same time. So this provides us an opportunity. Now that this place is in really dire straits, we could fix those water pipes. So I'm just kidding. I'm not going to destroy this city. I say it in jest. But I am going to fix the water pipes because this drives me absolutely mad. I can't let this be. And now that we're able to work a little bit in everyone else's areas, this is going to be one of the things I do. I have to. So I'm going to pause this, and I'm going to completely call a mulligan on this entire water system. Goodbye. Good riddance to that water system. We're going to do a better job with this. We have to. That is our charge, to put the water pipes under the roads where they belong. And once that's done, I will shut up about water pipes. Okay, I think we got most of it, but I am going to loop this entire system. I don't like seeing these spurs if I don't have to. You might have noticed I was creating little loops throughout this entire system, and that's the main reason why. In fact, I'll help him out a little bit. Although he's not going to have this area. I don't know who's going to get this. Or I do, but I'm not going to tell you. So I'm just going to kind of get this teed up to go in the correct location. We'll run it along the side of the freeway, figuring that if there was a water main break, probably not the worst place to have the water. Okay, so I think we've got everything covered. Let's see if I've totally destroyed the city outside of the area I'm supposed to be working in. I've totally destroyed it by not hooking up all of these facilities. Or I should say, I would have totally destroyed it had I not caught that. But I think we're good now. And look at this water network. It's so good. It's just wonderful. It's looped, it's under the roads, and it's the way it should be. So let's back off. I don't want to keep doing that. And in fact, I'm not even going to mess with the University of Collaboration area right now. That's maybe a next episode thing. Right now, I want to focus on my little area of Manitou Shores. So I'm going to carve this out. Okay, I don't want to get too crazy about the actual district. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. Manitou Shores. And interestingly, no one claimed this little island, so I'm going to actually just scoop right in. Now it's mine. But before I finish and thinking about these islands, I noticed one other thing when I was kind of just zooming around the map. Let me see if I can find it again. There was a cargo ship beached like a whale. That looked like a beach whale, rather. Not beached like a whale. Hopefully whales are not beached. There it is. So this is not just a prop. It's actually going somewhere. And the reason why it's beached like that, and it's going to this really nice terminal that was set up over here with a high crime rate. And it's going to get stuck here every single time. And the reason why is if we're looking, we can see that this little line goes directly through this island. So there are a couple things I could do. I think working within the tools that are available to me, I can just use Move It to shift this over a little bit. Okay, so now hopefully when this ship comes through, it won't get stuck. All right, I feel satisfied that we have rescued all of the ships from themselves and their captains that steer them into little islands. So now that that's resolved, let's get to our build. So this little island here is important to me for one reason. This is going to be our own little personal Alcatraz. This is going to be our prison island. So we want to keep the multiple cities at this point, free of the ruffians. So maximum security prison, here we go. I think I'm going to have to be a little more cautious with this road, give it a little bit more thought. We need to maximize our space. This will fit here, but it's going to be tight. That looks perfect. So we've got our prison. For the time being, it's just going to sit there. We're going to need a ferry terminal. We're going to need power. And we're going to need water. So let's take care of it right now. We're in a spot where we can. Lots and lots of power here, or lots of power potential here, I should say. So there are two things we could do. We could, potentially just have this here and try to pull power from our main district, or kind of share it in the future. That might not be the worst idea. Let's see how far away we can get it. Maybe there, and then we'll try to make sure there's something here that can grab that. Worst case scenario, we'll terraform just a little bit maybe and make it work. Then again, it's not all that necessary that we get this to connect, but it's a good thought. the other thing we're going to do is need to get water there. And I think we're going to do that right away. Now, I don't know what's going to happen here in the future, but we shouldn't build along that water pipe. Let's see the quickest way to get across. Ooh, not really a quick way. So I might actually back up and go the other way. I'd like to get the shortest distance. I also, well, you know what? Going towards where I'm going to build is probably the right choice. Because if I'm going the other way, that means that I have to still build this in the future. So that's not what I want to do. So, you know, I'm really particular about the water pipes if you're new to my channel at all. One of the reasons why is because if you were to have some sort of emergency where you end up with a sinkhole, you'd much rather have that in a green space or in a, you know, something that's not a house. You don't want the house to go underwater. You don't want to go into a sinkhole. You don't want to have to tear down someone's house to repair a water main that breaks. So ultimately, it's always good to place these water pipes within right-of-way or within easement areas, something that is not under house or building. So that's it. You get to these highways, and you know, water systems are really localized, so you'd never experience something that has this many connections. In fact, the water system in your city might consist of, you know, 15 pumps or more, unless you have unless you're getting water from the ocean or a lake, in which case it might be different, but there's still probably multiple points and multiple systems that are connected. So this is just kind of a unique setup, and we got to remember we're playing a game, so I want to keep it real, but I also want to keep it fun. So we're going to do a little both. So this collector right here, well, I guess right now it's an arterial with the way it's being used. There's very little access being taken. It's really prioritizing mobility, and I'm going to keep it that way. I don't know who's going to build in Zardis' old area, but if they decide to do the same thing, this would be an arterial, even though it has 4 lanes. So I want to make sure that I'm not loading up uses or access from this. And I'm going to just kind of put my main drag in. So I'm going to start out, I do want to make sure that it is this right-of-way width. So this would give me the flexibility to do more in the future if I wanted to. But at the same time, it's not going to make it so that I am, you know, completely stuck having 4 lanes, because that's you know, right now no people live in this town, and that would be total overkill. So why bother? We've got the Fine Road tool on, and I have, if you watched the last episode, you'll know that I have challenges with this particular tool from time to time. I love to sink my roads into the ground when I use this tool, so I have to go back in and fix things after the fact. And I think that's just fine. Doesn't bother me any. I know that there are more sophisticated users of this tool. I know that for me, when I'm on my own, I don't use it all that much because I am not good with it, and I don't think I'll ever be. So yeah, I've accepted the limitations of my skill with this particular mod. So I want to extend this here and flood this road and make this a really interesting place by having intermittent flooding. So let's stop that. We don't want that. Okay, so maybe I'll just take this entire road and bring it up just a hair. So that was 6 clicks. So 6 meters. Is it still underwater? It is still underwater. Look at that. We have not respected the topography at all. We have gone cut into a hill and lowered. If anything, we want to bring fill in here, not lower it. We've got some really interesting mistakes happening here now. So, better solution. Let's just totally respect the topography. We're just going to select all of this, and we're going to respect the topography mode, terrain heights. Okay, and now look, all of those water issues that we were having are now resolved. So my vision for this area is that there'll be a little residential area over here. We're going to have a ferry to get across to the prison, residential area over here, truck stop here, and have a nice little connection into this community over here. Totally different feel for what's happening. Totally different type of community, but still important. But I've noticed one thing that's already going to be a problem, and that is this interchange here. It offers movements north and south. It offers movements north, not south. So if you look here, it's an exit and an entryway, but we're going to need to cross over here and provide another ramp onto this southerly highway. Otherwise, when people are trying to get to work from this community, go work at the prison, there's not going to be a way to get there, short of driving all the way around here and coming back around. So I guess you could come down here, get off the highway, and double back around, and that's just not really reasonable or efficient. So we are going to fix that, but first I do want to get this thing operational, so let's get that ferry in place. So first, we do have, I just want to take a quick inventory of what we have. We do have this harbor over here, so I do think I would be able to just, what am I thinking? That's not going to work. So we need a ferry depot. I don't know that we have one. I don't think that we do. We do not. So we are going to build one. So that'll be another component of what's happening over here. So let's look at our topography. And I'd like to keep this at a similar topography, that main road, to our main road, if at all possible. And I also don't want to connect it up to that arterial. I think this might be one of my better locations. We'll make that connection right there. That's good. That's real good. It's unfortunate that the water pipes are just a little ways away from this, but that is the way things happen from time to time when you build water pipes. So, got that there. So I do want to bring power over to this area. We're going to need that. Clearly very important. So, this seems as good a place as any to get that going. So we've got our connection. So we've got our depot. Now we need to get our connections. So we have to have our ferry stops. Let's look at our topography view again. Okay, so we've got our first ferry stop. And we're going to want a bigger pier over here, I think, because this could be the start of a variety of ferry connections along Lake Manitou. And because there are some topography challenges here, I do want to take a look at this and just make sure that I'm taking those into account. It's not that bad, but I do think sometimes it's nice just to follow the topography to make sure that the road connection that you're making feels natural. And look at that, I followed the topography, and you end up with all of those buildings lining up really nicely with the shore. So now I think I'm going to have a temporary connection here. Clearly very reasonable and realistic to have a temporary water power connection, but okay, so we've got our lines. Just kind of a back and forth right between these two. So I have one curiosity, and that is trash collection, because this could become an issue, and we might need to actually place a small either recycling center or incinerator. The one thing that kind of stinks is that, besides the jail right now because it's full of trash, would be that I think that we would be in a position where we had this really large facility that is just burning money for no apparent reason. It'd be nice to be able to have a smaller facility, but that's not in the cards. or to be able to limit the funding to that specific facility. But that's a can of worms I don't want to open up. Suggesting that would mean that we are really micromanaging this entire area, the entire city. And that's not going to be fun for us. I don't think it's going to be fun for you to watch. Okay, so we've got our ferry going back and forth. And we got one prison van in use. Curious, is this going to work? It is not going to work. That kills me. Well, the next solution is one that is very, very, very unreasonable, and we're going to do it. So I think that we're going to tunnel underneath here to pretend that this ferry is working. And to make sure that no prisoners escape, we will use a highway. So I think we're gonna have to get rid of this terminal, but I'm not willing to give it up completely. So we are gonna figure something out here, but just not yet. All right, and I think I'm managing to just break this more and more and more, all because of my reluctance to build a bridge. So this is clearly not the best solution because of some of the issues that we're seeing with the topography. This is what happens when you completely disrespect the topography. Now I could try to just force this to work with grading, but I think that I'm being told something, and that is this isn't the best solution, and I probably shouldn't do it. I really want it to work. I really do. So let's see if I can force the grading to do what I want. Yeah, and it's just not gonna work. So I think back to the drawing board, because this really is the key feature of the city, or this little enclave. So we're just going to have to build a spectacular bridge without pedestrian facilities. I think that might be the next best solution to keep the prisoners on the island. Now, one of the challenges that we're going to have here is because we have the ferries now, we need to make sure that this bridge has enough height for the ferries to get across, and that's clearly not good enough. So first of all, let's get rid of this ferry line. We will do something with the ferries a little bit later, but right now I just want to make sure we get this bridge right. And that still might not be enough for the ferries. Let's get this to be really high. And that pillar is just, oh, I see why the pillar is disappearing. So I've got this ferry route just underneath. So let's get rid of that. Let's make sure I don't have anarchy on of any kind. I do. And since we have this built, I'm going to use it. You know, I think that would make some sense. And it'll give another opportunity for folks in this area to get to a job. So you know what? I think this is really going to work out nicely anyway. So I'm not disappointed that this happened. So this will be a nice way to integrate this new area into the rest of the city. We'll have this nice long ferry route going along the shore. We'll go a little bit deeper out here. Bring it back towards the shore and connect it up. So let's get that route going. Complete line. All right. So now there's a purpose and a rhyme or reason for this stuff happening. And temporarily, we just need to get some power there. So we're going to do that. Ferry after ferry after ferry lining up. So now all of these people could come and work at the prison, I guess, except that they can't walk across. So I guess that maybe this is going to be the episode of Mulligans, which is my normal style. So I didn't want the prisoners to be able to walk out of prison, but that's a fantasy problem, and a real problem is that the workers at the prison can't actually get to work if they take the ferry. Now the real problem, you're driving through a power line. So yeah, that's anarchy for you. Not beautiful, but it works. So we're going to take that, and you can see now there are people walking to the ferry. We have that in line. We're good. Everything is right in the city, except that it's not. So we have a lack of police coverage, our crime rate. Now we have massive jail capacity. We went from, I think it was 200 before, which meant that we were maxing it out to 680. So that's good. But we still have large swaths of the city that aren't covered with police service. So I just want to look. We have a police headquarters there. I'm going to go through and just make sure that we have enough police coverage. And we'll add that in, kind of infill into areas where we can. I want to make sure anarchy's off. Not into that at all. So having one alongside the highway wouldn't be a problem. In fact, the one closest to me is near a highway. Those are generally not very desirable areas, with the exception of things like industrial uses like we have over there anyway. So there's some synergy there. Over here, there's another issue in Geneva. Hello, Geneva. It's nice to visit. And there's a fire, because that's what my cities do. They burn. So, on to police protection. Again, let's take a look. So it looks like New Haven has one police station, which isn't providing great coverage everywhere. So let's help out in this area. Let's make sure our coverage is good. And when we're placing these, the only thing that I'm really thinking about, a couple of things. I want good coverage, and I want to make sure that we're not placing these on arterials, because this is a use that, in general, it needs a lot of access, and I don't want to place these sorts of things on mobility, on roads that are really meant for mobility. So, like right here, this would be the absolute worst place that I think we could put this. No offense, I see that there is a firehouse here. So, anyway, moving on. This would probably function as a collector, so this is rural, so maybe it's not as big of an issue, so I will just place that, though. I noticed that I noticed that they used the European police station or fire station over here, so I'll use the European police station. We'll have these neat little police and fire stations out here in the middle of nowhere. Oh, fire station, firehouse. Curious. Those are very close to one another. That's not my problem. I am just worried about safety. Public safety. We've got 3 over here now. There's no police coverage over here. So I'm thinking, because this is going to be a dense downtown area, we're going to again want another police headquarters. So I do want this to have good access to this particular roadway so that it can get... Oh, wait. Yeah, so that this would have access to the biffabout and be able to get around. But at the same time, I don't want to disrupt what is going on over here. Oh, water and power issues. Police station and a firehouse already over here. Interesting. So, my solution is going to be to place a police headquarters over here. And and eliminate this station since it was never operational anyway. And I want to take a look. Yeah, so I think that there would be value in having a larger fire station over here too, albeit it needs water. So I am going to deviate from Zardas's plan over here and make that change for the good of the city. So let's see. Power, good. Water, good. We're good. Everything is good. Except that this is going to bug me that it's not directly across from one another. So this is a much better configuration. Lots of stoplights though. Not my area again. I will just back off. But I would like to see, personally, I would get those turned off. And I do think that it's going to limit the radius that this is effective. So that is a concern of mine. But the crime rate is falling. So we're in an okay spot there. So we have one police station over here in this community of Erglewood. That's not good enough. This is a university, so I think that it would be totally rational to have a police station on campus. So I want to take a look at campus and see where it might make the most sense. And I think somewhere near these athletic facilities might be a place where that would make sense. You'd think that maybe they'd want to check out, make sure there's not underage drinking or whatnot. So we're going to place that right there. I'm also curious about fire coverage out here. Again, I think that this is a community that's big enough, or at least sprawling enough, that it would need more. So we are going to, I think, provide fire coverage over here as well. That's not really part of campus though, so I think I might just add that over to this area. So this would technically be the collector for the area, kind of turning into a local road, but it's a university. It's fine, I guess. We will just have to see how this works. Wow, this train station's doing some work. That's impressive. Very, very good. So I think that we have at least taken the crime rate and put it into a place that we could feel more comfortable about. Although, what happened over here? Did I put a fire department inadvertently? I did. I mean, that was needed too. So, let's actually place a police station. And now we have coverage here. So, is our coverage good everywhere? Yeah. I think we got it. So, the very last thing I want to do before I zone maybe just a couple small things would be to fix this what will be an interchange, because this isn't going to work once we have a community here, and I don't think it works right now anyway. So let's get this upgraded. I don't love where I place this. I'll just slide it up, or I'll do that to it. But I will just start over because I will mess that up. So I want this to be as long as it can be and slope as well as it can before it breaks and turns into a poorly sloping bridge. I think that's about where we're going to get. Now, what do we do with this? That's kind of a question that I had, and I think I had the solution. And I think that is that there's this road over here that could be something in the future if only it went somewhere. So let's bring this local road to an area where it can be useful in the future. Okay, so we have this coming quite a ways over. We're going to need to line this up, but for the time being, this will work. Yeah, there's going to be a kind of a tight turn on the end of this bridge, I think, to get this to line up. And that's really important to me because I want this to serve a purpose, not just exist. And what I think the purpose is going to be is to make the connection between these two areas. And it also opens this area up to future development because now we have a local roadway connection through there. So I think it's wins all around. So the other thing is, I think I'm going to put a roundabout here, but I want to get the ramps on this road first. So let's worry about that. Now this is going to be this is tight. So I'm not sure that we're going to be able to do what we did before, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. Yeah, that's good enough, I think. So I wish that this was a little more even though. Okay, so that is a nice change in my mind. And this is going to be a wonderful change. Adding a roundabout. Oh, roundabout bridge here and destroying everything. That was not my intention. That was not paying attention to where I was leaving my finger. Okay, so that's what I was looking for. And truthfully, I might just start this elevation of this bridge right at the roundabout. We'll get this sloped. Oh, so much better. So much better. Okay, and we'll have to deal with some wonkiness there, but this is significantly better. I think it's going to function better. We got rid of that terrible signal here for no apparent reason. Let's get this configured. So we're good there. And now this will be functioning appropriately. So now someone could live here and take local roads to get to their job at the prison. So that was what this was all about. I know that was a really lengthy way of getting there. The other thing they could do is they could take the highway if they really wanted to. Generally, that's discouraged. The last thing you want is to get a local trip on a regional facility, but it does happen. You've done it. I've done it. I do it. So it's not as if that's unheard of. So the last thing I want to do is I want to bring a little bit of population into this area. I think it would be nice to kind of finish this off with a little bit of population here. And I'm using my beloved Verde Beach grid. That's 15 and 12. And it's really efficient for adding a lot of city service buildings and special, unique buildings into the city. So along Main Street, I'm not using that grid, and that was a mistake. That said, not overly concerned. And I'm not going to have a very large grid here anyway. I just kind of want to start kind of a historic downtown kind of area. And things are going to deviate fairly quickly here. Okay, now here what I'm thinking is this is kind of the end of the grid, the end of the line. And that's as far as we're going to go. I'm not big into building massive grids, I think, or massive roadway layouts without stuff there. I think generally it's better to have a layout that you can kind of naturally expand should you want to. Rather than getting too in the weeds and building this gigantic grid. That's not the way cities are built, I guess in the US anyway. And in China, they certainly will build an entire city and build it and they will come. And in China they do come. But North American cities in general, that's not something you'd see. I don't think you'd see that in Europe either. But let me know. I mean, is that something that you think could happen? Or has it happened? I'm always surprised. You think that things are not happening, but, I know that people are different. The risk tolerances of developers are different. And you just never really know. I know that in my area for residential development, in some cases, there is a very high risk tolerance for building homes without knowing whether anyone's going to move there or not, because homes sell quickly. So now I'm just going to fill in this main street corridor. There is a significant commercial demand and residential, or commercial and industrial demand. This is not surprising in my mind, given the area, or given that what's been built by the other builders, but I do want to take care of it. So I mentioned earlier that I want to build a truck stop, and I am going to do that real quick. So using one of the Creator Pack DLCs, you do get a service station and restaurant. So I'm thinking that that might be a neat asset to have here. That said, I want to get this road lined up in a way that gets this service station kind of parallel with the train there. So, I like that a lot. So we need to get water and power to this area. That'll be easy. All right, so we now have water and power, or we now have water but not power. Knowing that I'm not going to really have development in this area, at least for the time being, I think I am going to rely on bringing that from our existing power infrastructure on this side of the highway. I do think you might see a diner or something like that over here, so we will put a couple of uses like that over here, but nothing over here. I think this is really striking, so I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. So you got this really nice truck stop sort of building. This is from the Japanese creators set, and I'm excited to see how this turns out. So very good. We've got that there now, and we've got a city without power. So let's make sure we get that taken care of. I want to finish off those commercial uses heading towards this ferry depot. Let's see how close we are to having power. Not close enough. Let's see, maybe if we have a couple of homes that develop, we'll get close enough. Speed it up. Oh, this is painful. This kills me. That said, I figure I could just casually put in some roads and maybe you'd forget that this entire town has no power. Fat chance. So let's extend it some power. I think we're good now. All right. Much better spot. This community can actually exist. I do want to fix the signals here. Signals just wouldn't be warranted anywhere in this town. Not at this stage in the game. Alright, and now there's a bit of irony in this area, and that is that we have spent all this time working on bringing the crime rate down, only to not have a police station or fire station in this little community. So we're going to get those built. I kind of want to just get this core, kind of a core city services area built, maybe along this corridor right here. And I want that to include postal service and schools as well. And then we're going to do a little bit of residential zoning. We're going to call it a day. I think that we've done a lot. We've done a lot and not much at the same time. It's kind of one of those interesting. I'm looking. Oh boy. No post offices anywhere. Oh, wait. No, nothing. Okay. So we're actually going to have a slight deviation of plans, and we're going to build a postal sorting facility over here too. So more jobs. So this is a really blue collar kind of area. So I'm going to temporarily, I want to think about where I want to put this. So I do think having it just off the main road would make a ton of sense. So I think I might build a little campus for it over here. And this is going to function as an arterial, so I'm not going to do all that much in terms of connections to that road. But we will loop all the way around this building. You see that? That is not respecting the topography. That is bending the topography to your will. And that's exactly what I've done here, just because I want that asset to look nice. So I'll break my own rules a little bit there. And it's not perfect. I could make it perfect. I'm going to make it perfect. All right, so now it should be not perfect still. It's better, so I'll leave it at that. But I always say stuff like that, and then I need to do things to make it better. So, all right, so now back to what I was actually trying to do, which was build a post office, not build a mail sorting center. So I hate the location of this. I want it to be on the right corner, though, because it just looks really off if it's in the wrong place. So I'm going to just move this over. Much, much, much nicer. And I want to do a little bit of landscaping around this little postal center. The last thing we want to do is just leave this barren. Okay, so maybe more important than landscaping in this area is making sure that this at least looks as reasonable as possible in terms of the terrain heights, and I think we've accomplished that. So I do want to do a little bit more residential zoning in this area, and I think that we're going to include bike paths all the way through the back area back here. So let's do that right now. So one of the struggles with this is I'm trying to remember exactly what mods are in here and finding out that the mods I would like to see are not necessarily in here. So that's fine. I think we might do something a little bit different with this path though, because I do want there to be connections. And what I might do is actually run just a pedestrian road back here. And normally I think I'd like to turn the zoning off on here. But we can't do that. So we'll just kind of live with the madness that this creates. And it'll make kind of an interesting little neighborhood, I think. Now along here, I want to continue the commercial uses where they make sense, which I think is right along this little road that we have kind of city services on. And then lastly, I don't think it's necessary to get a high school here now, but it's certainly necessary to get an elementary school. So I want to place that somewhat close to that road that we're placing everything on, and make sure that we're thinking about the sorts of amenities that would be useful for an elementary school. So the sorts of things that I'm thinking about. Just had one of those moments where you just kind of lose track of where you are. So clearly not a dog park. We're going to want a playground. And unfortunately with this path that we put in, it's not going to fit. So we're going to need to deviate a little bit in this one area. Not a big deal. In fact, I kind of like it. I think that it gives us a bit of a change and breaks up the monotony of what was happening. Yeah, that's nice. I think this is a good change. And now let's take one last look, make sure all of our zoning's in place, put one random commercial spot in there. Speed it up and see what happens. All right, yeah, I'm really happy with where this is going. So I think that this is where we're going to end it today. This is a little bit longer of an episode, and if you're used to watching some of the other builders, I generally stick with pretty long form content and a little less of it. It's just my personal preference and style. So hopefully you're okay with me going an hour. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit that like button. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so and hit the notification bell if you want to know when I release new videos. Shown on the screen now are some of my Patreon supporters. I really appreciate their support. They make what I'm doing possible. And we're going to end this with a brief cinematic of the entire city like we always do. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.